Hello, welcome to Africa This Month on Ominira TV. Hi, I'm Lanre-Peter. Africa This Month is a program where we have conversations about selected issues happening across the continent. And on this episode, again, I have with me Bayo Fesobi. Welcome, Bayo, to Africa This Month.
Thank you very much, Larry. It's my pleasure.
Bayo is a socio-political commentator, and obviously, as you know, many issues happen across the continent every month. But the goal of this program is to select a few of these issues and drive conversations about them so that we can enlighten you and help you form your opinion. So, again, welcome to Africa This Month. Yeah, Bayo, let's get straight to it. In the month of June, Togo launched what is called the biggest or the largest solar plant in West Africa. The solar plant is said to cover an area of land of about 250 kilometers, and the project is believed that to help give access to electricity for about 158,000 households. What do you think about a project like this in the small country of Togo?
Okay, yeah, thank you very much, Lanre. For me, Togo has made a very bold step to ensure that their citizens have access to clean and renewable energy. I mean, that's one first impressive step that I've seen with that kind of a project. Secondly, for someone like me, it has struck me to be very instructive that that project was completed within the same time frame it was projected to be completed. And yeah, very fantastic. And the only question that it points back to me is what happens to the electricity Nigeria imports to Togo before this time? I mean, Togo imports electricity from Nigeria and Ghana before this time. What happens to that part of the Nigerian electricity generation that Togo will no longer need? And I mean, it's a very good step in the best way.
Wow, I like some of the points you made. When I heard about the issue, the first thing that struck me was, wow, it's laudable that the project was completed in about 15 months.
Yeah, 18 months.
18
Exactly.
months.
18
the
months.
time frame that it was set
for it.
And that's laudable. And it's also good that Togo is considering a renewable source of energy now.
Exactly.
I don't think that it would mean they not buying electricity from Nigeria and Ghana. It may reduce what they would buy, I guess, you know, but what I also think is, I think this is a good step in the right direction, and I hope that Togo can expand this project.
Well,
you know, if they are able to, I think they have it in the plan that they will expand it more before the end of the year.
Exactly.
So maybe they would, it's just a country of 8 million people.
Exactly.
And if they can, because electricity empowers the people.
I agree with you.
And it's a good thing that you're giving access to electricity. I hope that Nigeria
takes that kind of a step. But for me, I have this scare for, I mean, the inability for that project to be able to be upscaled. If care is not taken, might plunge Togo into another set of, I mean, series of huge debt. The project sits on about 35 million francs. I mean, and that's a huge money from both Dubai and AfDB. Yeah. And for a country like Togo, considering their current GDP, it might look very difficult for them if they intend to increase, I mean, or probably upscale that kind of a project. So Togo should probably seek to manage that first and then see how it works out before they upscale, as you presumed.
That makes sense, because as you rightly said, it was a loan that was used for this. But, you know, this is an asset. It is. I believe that electricity, having access to electricity or increasing the power in that country is likely to attract
business and investors.
Businesses into
Great.
their country, and that
definitely.
Hopefully that would help the country resolve or pay back the loan that was used to. But in all, this I think is a great project to have from Togo. Let's move to the second story, which just happened a few days ago from South Africa, where we see the former president, Jacob Zuma, being sentenced to 15 months in jail because of contempt to court orders. What are your thoughts um, about this issue?
Thank you very much, Lanre. For me, it's a great win for the rule of law. And again, we see a country who is doing, what is expected. Before now, we used to have countries where, past presidents still retain their immunity and are unable to face the consequences of the law, even when they are out of office. But for this kind of victory, I mean, it's victory because this is rule of law. I mean, in its best practice. And South Africa has got it right on this. And for me, I think other countries should, learn from that. If anybody in a position of power gets out and is no longer under the immunity of the political office he or she holds before, should be thoroughly, investigated to be sure he or she has clean hands to be able to continue, interrogating and interacting with the society. If he or she is found guilty, of course, should be made to face the law. Equality before the law. Everybody is the same. He's just Mr. Jacob Zuma, and he has, the same rights as everybody under the law. So for me, it's a great win for rule of law again. I'm excited about that, and I think other countries should quickly emulate that from South Africa.
Yeah, brilliant. I like your view, because I also agree that it's a win for the rule of law. We need a society where no one is above the law.
Exactly.
When we have a society where certain individuals are above the law, or because, as you said, because of the public office you held, at some point you now have immunity for life. Such societies would have an imbalance, and there would be improper administration of law. So this, as you said, is a win for rule of law, and I hope that we begin to see this kind of things happen in other African countries, as it will indicate progress in our society. So moving on, there was also in the month of June, there was the African Development Bank had its annual meeting, even though it was virtual. Yeah. It had its annual meeting, and the discussion was about how to build resilient economies, post the pandemic. And some of the issues that were discussed there was economic recovery of some African countries. How do we recover? Of course, the economies in most African countries is beginning to move north now, but it can do better because there's still the negative impact that the pandemic had. However, there was also something that was prominent. It was about vaccine shortages. It's been said that just about 45 million vaccines has been given to Africa, and we are a population of 1.3 billion people. That obviously shows a wide gap. And there's been this clamor by African leaders asking the West, developed nations, to allow African nations have vaccine patents so we can produce. So it was a discussion last month at the G7 meeting. Some countries want to do that, some don't want to do it, but there's no conclusion yet. What are your thoughts about, this meeting, especially the conversations that they had about vaccine shortages and economic recovery post the pandemic?
Thank you very much, Lanre, again. And for me, honestly, I buy into the leadership, the disposition of the leadership of AfDB on this. It's high time we begin to see the shortfalls of these multinationals. If World Health Organization is not recognizing the fact that Africa requires this patent to be able to save its citizens, then it's becoming, an organization that is not, worthwhile and is not beneficial to us. They should begin to see it as required for us to also have the same rights, the same privileges as other countries of the world. The cry for, patents is long overdue. We should not beg. We are not expected to beg for patents. We are expected to get it just as the West got it. Now, that gives you, brings the conversation to the table, the fact that even the West relies on the strength of, personnel from Africa. More companies, more hospitals, more healthcare facilities in the West enjoy personnel that are from Africa. More Nigerian doctors, more Nigerian healthcare officers work in these Western places, and they help in the facilitation of the development of this patent that you are refusing to give back to their people. Should we withdraw our people and they are unable to produce their own, the patent they claim to have? Must we beg them to give us patent? Honestly, it's beginning to question the veracity of WHO already, and we should all, join AfDB to clamor for the approval of a patent for Africa, such that we can produce for ourselves. The reason why the economy of African countries are like this is because we are not a producing continent. This is the first time we should produce something that we truly need, and that's my position. I strongly align with, the leadership of AfDB on this. Yeah, Lanre.
Yeah, I also agree that we should be producing vaccines and not be begging for vaccines.
Exactly.
And given the fact that the pandemic was a global health issue, it is we are supposed to be able to have access to the patent so we can produce. We can't wait on the UK, we can't wait on the US or Germany and these countries to be donating vaccines to us. When, look at how far it's gone. We've only had 45 million vaccines and we are 1.3 billion people on the continent. So it shows that
the imbalance
is wide. So we need to have access to the patent so that we can produce for ourselves. So on that note, we have come to the end of Africa This Month. I hope that you have enjoyed the conversation. Bayo Fesobi, thank you so much for coming on Africa This Month again.
It's my pleasure, Lanre. Thank you very much.
I hope you come again.
Well, if you come, yes, I will.
And thank you for staying to this moment. Please subscribe and share with your friends.